you know what? Don't worry. Everything's going to be fine. Just be yourself.
How am I not being myself? Wait, am I not being myself? Am I supposed to be more than this, less than this? It's very confusing. Hi there, I'm Nandini.
And I'm Wednesday Adams. No, I'm Mnayitre.
Very good, because today we're going to be talking about one of the most common pieces of advice that people get, and that is to,
You know what? Don't worry. Everything's going to be fine. Just be yourself.
just be yourself. Don't be Wednesday Adams, be yourself.
So, what is your first response when somebody says that, Nandini, don't worry, just be yourself?
Well, I'll be honest, very honest right now. Most of my life, people have not told me that. Most of my life, people have said, you know what you should do? You should change how you dress or, speak a different way. It was only very recently, actually, I met a few family members 2 years ago. And for the first time in my life, they didn't want to change me. They were just like, oh, what are you up to? That sounds great. Keep going. They encouraged me to be me. And I was very surprised by that because maybe it also helped that by that point, I was, maybe it's the fact that I was older, but I was very unabashedly me, you know? Like, I think I've always been a version of me, but in the past, when I've been very depressed, it was a depressed version of me, which I mean, miserable people are no fun to be around. So maybe it's like, and I get it. I get it. Like, if I had a friend or if I met someone who was like all doomy and gloomy, I would say, come on, cheer up, but I wouldn't say, be yourself, be a happier version of you. So, long answer short, when people do ask me to be myself, it has very rarely happened. But if someone asks me to do that now, I'd probably be a little bit angry because I feel like I'm always being me.
Yeah.
What about you?
That's a very fair point because, okay, so for me, like you said, you have started to manifest people in your life who now are telling you to be yourself. For me, I have always been the greatest critic for myself. So I don't even remember because I was so hard on myself. Even if somebody was kind to me, I didn't register. But after I did click into the most authentic version of myself, which is now, I realized that I get that the person in front of me who is saying it comes from a very well-meaning place. But also in that moment, I have the exact same response. I'm like, I get to be angry when I feel angry, and I get to be sad when I feel sad. And, all of these experiences, emotions are also part of me. So if I am anxious, that's okay. What dissipates or dissolves that anxiety for me is just, I'm angry right now, just like I'm feeling hot right now.
Yeah.
Just like that.
It's a warm monsoon day today.
Oh,
So do make yourself comfortable, be yourself, be at home.
I do not apologize for the unbuttoning you will be experiencing. Okay, moving on.
Indeed. So I guess, this calls into question, what is it? Like, what is that we do when we're not being ourselves? Because there are times as well where I feel like, ooh, in this company or in this situation, it's probably better if I hide myself or a certain part of me or a certain aspect of me. Or let's just say put on a mask, right? A whole bunch of masks, masking.
So I think I would want you to talk more about what we even mean when we're talking about masking. Just let's define it first before we get more into how much to do it or whether to do it or what.
The psychology professor is testing my psychology, guys. Oh my God. Okay. So
can't shake it. Can't shake it.
Well, just as you mentioned that there is a version of you that presents itself authentically when you're angry. Yeah. When you're angry, I don't think you'll be smiling. Whereas normally I see you smiling a lot, right? Yeah. So me, for example, when I'm anxious, I get into like a freeze mode. And when I'm in like a period of anxiety, I just want to be in bed wrapped with blankets all around me, And that is not the self that you're going to see here on camera. But this is also very, very me, right? Very me.
Very me.
Oh dear.
That's so good.
Am I stealing your brand?
Oh Nobody can steal my brand. Okay.
It's very you.
It's very me.
When it comes to masking, in a way, the way that I see it, and you please do correct me if I'm wrong, it's about like putting on the version of us that we think is appropriate for a particular situation. And sometimes it will only be shining a light to a certain curated or crafted persona or personality, which doesn't include all the other aspects, or maybe even some natural at ease aspects of us, right? There are certain versions of us that feel very at ease. And then there's certain versions of us that we've had to shape and polish. And then we may feel at ease with them. And at other times, every time we have that persona on, we're never at ease as well. So what do you think of that?
I will give some TMI because I'm not I will not change anything you mentioned because I agree with everything. But I will say that for me as a child, I was the parentified eldest sibling. So I was blessed with knowing what's expected of me. So I was always very good with that. But where it became very unhealthy and hollow for me is I only started to do that because I had become the good child, the responsible child. So I was just giving everybody exactly what they expected with whoever I was. I was very good with that. But at some point, I did break down because that way is not sustainable. I'm not saying that after the breakdown and after I regrouped myself, built myself up again, I still am good at picking up what is expected of me. But I also check in with myself very frequently. In fact, all the time without fail. It's become a habit now. I'm here with Nandini. So I know that I will always ask you where you are, what you're doing, what you expect of me. Like I sort of just know it. But at the same time, I will also check in with myself. Can I actually deliver from an honest place, not from a place of, oh, Nandini's asking me, so I should just oblige them. Rather than saying that, I'll be like, can I actually give them what they are
something
wanting?
As simple as, let's say, if I'm hosting a games night and I'm like, Mnayitre, could you help me, please? I just want like
absolutely
an extra pair of hands to help me clean the house or make some food. And I know you well enough now to know I can ask that of you. And I love and respect that you will only say yes if it feels right to you.
That is what is the complete game changer, because every time I do say no, and mostly I'll say yes. Whenever I have the capacity, I will say yes. But it takes me a bit of courage to say no, but I do it. I've been doing it with all of my loved ones because I know that the yes gets more value when I also say no. So when I'm not in a space to provide help to them, I will say no. That I'll be like, Nandini, today I can't. So.
Awesome person here. So I had a question. When you said you were the parentified, keep this, parentified eldest sibling or eldest child, right?
Yeah.
While you were playing that role as a child, did you think of that as a mask, or was that just you?
Oh no, because that I didn't even have the concept of a mask. I was simply that my desire to be there, because my dad passed away when I was 7. So my desire to be there for my mother in any way that I could was my primary focus.
So this is the reason why this podcast is even being made, because a big question that I don't know if I should use the word plagued me, but it certainly made me feel very uncomfortable in my mid-20s, was realizing that I had spent around, I remember I spent 2 years free, in quotation marks. I had an income. I had a 3-bedroom house to myself. I was living in a major city. And the most adventurous I'd been was trying 2 new pickles, 2 new achars. Okay. That is those were the only new experiences I'd had in the span of 2 whole years. Was I tried 2 new achars that I'd never tried before. I had not gone to a new place. I had never met another person. Well, you meet people, but like it baffled me. It made me feel so weirdly like suppressed and contained. And then I was asking myself, why am I not venturing out? Why am I not doing something different?
Yeah.
Right? And I don't like this version of me.
Yeah.
So part of like, I think like the whole being yourself is also acknowledging that as human beings, we have to evolve. And in a way, I think that the true evolution really truly begins. And feel free to disagree with me in the comments. I would love to hear what you have to say. But the true evolution probably begins in one's 20s, once they have an income, once they have freedom, once they're out of like the school life, college life, rat race, ugh, right? And then there's like a little bit of space, there's a little bit of wiggle room. And it's sort of like, what am I doing? What am I doing? Who am I?
For me personally, I came to this point because I was very, to keep it simple, fixed in very many ways. Very masculine energy, toxic masculine energy sometimes. I had to break down. I had a breakdown, mental, physical, in every way that I can imagine a breakdown. I often call it the great crisis in my life. I had to get to that point before I realized that, okay, this shit isn't working. And then when I started to piece myself back together, that is when my journey started. So for me, it wasn't as smooth, but I can never be more grateful to anything other than that period of my life.
My friends, my brothers, I don't believe the journey is ever smooth. I don't think it's smooth. I don't think it
It's
can
not
be smooth.
meant to be. It's not meant to be. But like just still sticking to the point of, getting to a space where you've picked out the things on your list, you're like, okay, I have income and I have, I've whatever got a degree. Like when I had the breakdown, I was doing my PhD. I had done 90% of it. And when I broke down, my mom said, just leave, you, because the most important thing in my life had broken down. Like the family dynamics had completely broken down. And I didn't know that the family dynamics meant so much to me until I broke down. And so, but I was like, no, I've put in so many resources in it. I will do it. I will complete it. So I did get my PhD and I did get a job and I blah, 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 whatever, And after doing all of that, I realized that, okay, I've done it, but this is not what's giving me what I want from life. That is how I came to that space that you were talking about. And you know what? All of you will have your own journeys, but oftentimes it involves some sort of breakdown, even whether through family, friends, something, maybe job, physical health. That's how it happens. You'll have your own journeys.
It's so true that breakdowns lead to breakthroughs, right? So what you just said, everyone will have their own journeys. And I think this is the thing that has happened again and again and again and again and again in my life, is like, as I'm breaking down, I'm like, it can't get worse than this. And then it's like, it needs to collapse in order for something beautiful to sprout. So in this way, I think what we've sort of been circling around is the fact that we all have masks and we all have these personas that we have perfected, or perhaps they're not perfect, but they're functional. We're able to function in this life.
They create a comfortable life for us.
Yes.
Our masks help us give convenience.
Our masks also help us satisfy certain aspects of our life. For example, I may not be able to be my full, I don't know what to say, my full queer, non-binary, everything self with some family members, right? Present. Nevertheless, I want to be with my family members, which is why I am, being a slightly reduced version of me around them, but I feel satisfied in that. So there's nothing wrong, I believe, in masking, given a place and time, of course. I personally think it's wrong if there's, I said this before. Should I mention it now? Should I?
Say it.
So, okay, when I was traveling, there was this like gay man who was like lusting after this guy, right? And then like we exchanged details. He might have sent me like, I don't know, Happy New Year message or something. And then about a year later, I found out he got married to a chick. And in my brain, I was like, I'm not gonna congratulate him. Because I would congratulate him. I would be okay with it if I knew that he had let his wife know that he was a gay man. As long as it was open, blessings all around. Hope you guys have a fantastic, functional, amazing marriage, right? But without knowing that, I was a bit like, I hope he did it right. And by the way, just so you know, we had conversations, when I was traveling and we'd met. And it didn't seem to me like he would have been open about it. Like that was the vibe I got. I only met him for like 2-3 days. Okay, so who's to know? So I actually have a few points here which kind of sum up why a person masks, why we mask. So one of the reasons, of course, is to protect oneself from being hurt. So even in the example of, let's say, a gay man who's in a family that is unaccepting of homosexuality, they have to mask who they are in order to survive. Quite literally, it can be a life and death situation, right? So self-preservation, survival is a high, it's probably the number one need for masking. Another another reason why people mask is the desire just to be accepted, right? And this is definitely not a life and death type of situation. This can just be like, in college, I see everybody smoking. I don't really agree with it, but I'll try it. I'll try. I don't want to be like the buzzkill. I don't want to be the one that they say, this person doesn't smoke. We're all going out. You stay here. I want to be accepted. Something like that could be a reason why, and I know like that isn't, I haven't given the best example of masking, but it could even be like pretending you like somebody's sense of humor when you think it's offensive, right? Pretending there's so much pretense that happens, I think, in certain scenarios. So that is simply just to fit in. And this is where, I really believe that is one place where one shouldn't mask.
Yeah, I guess the only thing I would like to mention, which again, because everything you said I agree with, the only thing I would like to add here is understanding and acknowledging that I have a mask is half the problem solved in a way, because you are more mindful of it. Like if I know I'm a certain way with my family, I'm a certain way with my friends, if I'm aware of it, I can move towards smoothly at my pace, blending it into what feels real to me. I can decrease the gap. So the idea is not, oh my God, I have a mask, I'm being self-critical, because that's how I first, that me being hard on myself, me dealing with my inner critic, that's how it worked for me. So I'm like, oh my God, I should completely cut it out. I don't think that neither of us are, the whole reason why we're sharing it, so that you understand and ask yourself, okay, so this is my mask at work, this is my mask at, and it's not bad, just use it mindfully, basically.
Yeah.
Mix it up, move at your own pace.
I also believe like each one of these things ought to be centered in who we are, though. Like the thing that makes me mad is when somebody is a certain way, but it just seems so disjointed with who they seem to be at the root. For example, if somebody says that they love the environment and they love sustainability, and then they start working for like a petroleum company, or like, and I'm just like, how do those two things, they don't correlate, so I think like based on the values of what you value to be right, make decisions that way. And similarly, when I was giving that example of like, let's say laughing at a racist joke or an Islamophobic joke, when you don't have those beliefs yourself, that is where it's important to just be like, yo, what you just said's not right. It's not right. You can still want to still be friends with them, but be yourself as you're doing that as much as possible. In certain scenarios, it's important to. It's important to make you the mask or have the mask reflect who you are in a certain way.
I have I have somebody who's very dear to me, a very close loved one, who has a racist side, a very strong racist and dark humor side. And so when I can hold space for them, because they don't show that side to everybody, because they're very conscious. But I allow them to show that side to me. But I'm not going to be like, this is not funny to me, but if you want to send me racist memes, I can just like ignore it, but don't expect me to laugh on it, or you can't expect me to feel the way that you feel. Like this doesn't tickle me. So this is like my midway. I'm not saying that, yes, I agree with you, that's so funny, blah, blah, blah. But I'm also not like, you should not do this. I'm not getting super preachy about it, because see, the whole point is masks exist because they have a function in our life. So the point is not to, the point, at least my way of approaching it, is not to like get to the root, uproot it out of your life. Take it at your own pace, express yourself. And the more, like today, a lot of things I can do, a lot of boundaries have been, we'll talk about it in some other episode, but boundaries have been a huge life lesson for me. I've always been empathetic, and therefore I've attracted all sorts of people. And but I have also learned boundaries. So it's taken me courage. Even till date, I hesitate a bit to set in a boundary, but I do it because I'm not trying to, it's not that I am trying to discourage them, because I have no control over them. But from my side, if it doesn't feel right to me, I will at least express it. That's it. That's
Thank you for mentioning the big B word, right? Boundaries, because that is what I mean. Being true to yourself is not separate from having a mask at all. It should be one and the same.
Yeah.
So sure, have a mask, have a persona, be all congenial and be friendly, but at the same time, be true to who you are and just express it. And this is why communication is also key. And then coming to the last point, why people mask. The third point is societal pressure, right? And these are, by the way, they're not three distinct separate things. They all can also be interrelated, correlated, but I've just expressed them in these three ways. First being survival, right? Self-preservation, like you have to mask in order to survive. The second being, wanting to be accepted. The third being societal pressure. I think societal pressure is some of the bigger things. For example,
societal pressures.
I don't have to explain that to you. I don't have to explain that.
Yeah. I don't think anybody needs an explanation for that.
Society, ew.
But for me, I never gave much care. Totally dimmed that down for you people. I didn't give a shit for society, but for me, the expectation was from family. So for me, I'm like, I will be what my family needs me to be. So my preconditioning was, okay, family expects me to be this. Carry on. Sorry.
No. Like my upbringing was kind of weird. So I only knew about society's, like for me, societal pressure is like my family telling me this is how the world works. And I'm like, really? That's how the world works? I've been working in the world like this, something as simple as I never keep this a secret, but I don't have a university degree, right? And I remember in my 20s, like every family member was like, you need a degree, somehow get a degree, like go for open learning. If you need money, let me know. Like people were even willing to give money to me to get a degree. And in my brain, I was like, I really don't want to be in another educational institution for years. I just can't do it. Like my ADD brain can't sit down and write an exam. I love to learn. I love learning.
Absolutely.
I love learning. I cannot stop freaking learning. Okay. But I hate testing only because my brain can't function under those conditions, conditions of timed on paper with pencil. I'm supposed to produce a beautiful essay. How? Like instead, if you ask me to type it, I'll do it. I can't do it.
Okay, so based on the conversation we just had, I am feeling curious about certain things. So I will ask you, would you rather questions?
Ooh, okay.
So since you said that at one point your family was willing to sponsor you to get like a university degree, now the Nandini who is now, would you accept that money and siphon it off into your like personal projects and personal business and get like a correspondence degree from somewhere? Would you consider doing that, or would you just leave the hassle altogether of, because if they're really on your head about it, like just get a degree somehow, we'll give you everything you want, what will you do?
Easy. I would never do that. Reason being, one of my core values from childhood has always been pure honesty. So if I really wanted like a loan to start something like the podcast that we're doing right now, if I wanted to hire some amazing editors, which we also have right now, like if or whatever it is I wanted to do and I needed some financial support, I would probably go to them and say, look, this is what I'm planning to do. and this is the kind of money I require. I don't think they would go for it. Like instead they were like, you come live with us, we will take care of your food. You can go to college over here, that sort of thing. It was very very college centered or university centered.
Right.
So I would have to see, like, at this point in my life, thankfully, touch wood, I'm not in the financial position where I require money. I have enough savings and I'm dedicating myself to this craft at the moment. But if ever that came about in the future, I'd be very honest about it, but I would not do the sneaky thing of being like, yeah, I'm working on this degree. I need about 20,000 just to live. Do you mind giving that to me? But using that 20,000 for something else, I would feel I wouldn't feel good about that. So I wouldn't do that. Yeah.
Boring, but good. Works sustainably.
You may call it boring, I call it ethical and normal. Normal and ethical. But I know. Okay. Okay. So
but just so you know, I would do the exact same thing. So just saying.
Who's calling who boring?
That's the fun of it, because I asked the question to you.
So you think you are boring?
I don't mind.
So you're happy.
It's not a bad thing. See, that is exactly the point that I guess we're trying to make here. Even if I am boring, if it works for me, I would do it. Even if somebody else labels me as, oh, you're so boring, because people have told me so many times that, Mnayitre, you're so deep. Why do you have to think in such a deep way about everything? I was like, dude, that comes naturally to me. I just naturally think that if you find it too deep, a reference only friends, watchers, viewers will understand this reference. But okay, next.
Would you rather have a work colleague who is completely themselves and very offensive, or a work colleague who is very professional, boring, and not stimulating because they feel uncomfortable to be themselves around you?
I think since it's work-centric, as long as whoever they are in both of the situations, as long as they're getting the job done, whichever I feel is more conducive to the work is what I will pick. Like, I will either pick the person who's really good at their job but really boring, because we don't need to be pally, we don't need to hang around other than work. And so whichever gets the job done better, I would choose that one. Even if somebody is like really, like someone I find irritating
or toxic or
just loud. I would, yeah, but if they're really good, actually no, I will reconsider. I will reconsider.
We got her.
No,
we got her.
Because you said toxic. You see, toxic is different than irritating. I
didn't say irritating. I said offensive. Like extremely offensive, extremely rude, crude.
I can see some people are just like foul-mouthed. I can do with that.
That's not what I'm saying. I've got a potty mouth. I've got a potty mouth.
Yeah, if somebody's just rude to my face, but I know that whatever they are talking about is like for the project to be better.
Okay, stop making it so deep, Mnayitre. It's simple.
Rude, if it's toxic, then no, I'll pick the boring person. But if they're not toxic and just like foul mouth, I will do with either of them. Like, okay, I don't care.
So based on all that we've talked about today, I think we can safely say that masks serve a function, right? These versions of ourselves, these personas, they help us survive, they help keep us safe, they help us adapt to cultures, they help us make friends for some time anyway. So
for some time anyway.
As we evolve, right?
Yes.
They evolve as we evolve. So
So enjoy your masks, be mindful about your masks, and enjoy the unfolding of being you.
Absolutely. Cheers to
being ourselves, and cheers to being you.
Cheers to being yourself fully.